I don't need an attorney. I haven't done anything.
The critics said it would be savaged by the censors. The studio said the star was all wrong for the title role. But the makers of the Boston Strangler refused to listen.
Nothing could stop me, and nothing did.
How a shocking serial murder case became a surprise movie hit on Backstory, The Boston Strangler. The 1968 thriller, The Boston Strangler, depicted a real-life murder spree so grisly that censors called it unfilmable. It also used an innovative camera style that a studio head called bizarre.
Are you taking any precautions against the Boston Strangler?
Yes, I am.
It starred an actor known for romantic comedies in the role of a sexually depraved serial killer. And a triumph for its star, Tony Curtis.
I loved it. How could I not love it? It's an outstanding performance and an extraordinary movie, and I was in it.
From 1962 to 1964, the city of Boston was held in a grip of terror as 13 women aged 19 to 85 were found strangled to death in their homes. Some were sexually assaulted, others brutally tortured. But the murders had one detail in common. The fabric used to strangle the victims was tied around their necks in a decorative bow.
What do you think of the Strangler?
I think of the tragedy of the lives that were taken. I do use all precautions that I can.
No one was ever tried for the killings, but one man did confess, Albert DeSalvo, a 34-year-old handyman and the married father of 2 young children. In 1966, journalist Gerold Frank published a shocking bestseller about the case. The book caught the eye of producer Robert Fryer, who took the project to 20th Century Fox, and its 32-year-old production chief, Richard Zanuck. Zanuck agreed that the subject had dynamite screen potential.
It was a wonderful detective story. It was a classic case. It was filled with suspense, and it was a true story.
Chief. By a Boston maniac.
To direct, Zanuck suggested Richard Fleischer, who'd already directed one true crime classic, Compulsion. But as the filmmakers turned their focus to the script, the real Boston Strangler gave them a frightening plot twist. On February 24, 1967, Albert DeSalvo escaped from custody and was on the loose.
We will check out every single lead we receive. All we ask for is information.
He escaped because nobody was talking to him. He was in a nut house and he didn't like hanging out with other nuts.
After a tense 33 hours, DeSalvo was recaptured, and with the confessed killer back in custody, Richard Fleischer started searching for an actor who could bring the tortured mind of Albert DeSalvo to the screen. List after list was drawn up, with names ranging from Warren Beatty to Robert Redford.
I was thinking what we need is somebody who has sex appeal, very attractive to women, but he should be somebody who is a working man and been in accidents and fights.
Suddenly, Fleischer's mind turned to a surprising choice, Tony Curtis.
Tony Curtis as Antoninus, who loved Spartacus like a brother.
During the 50s, Curtis had been one of Hollywood's hottest stars, a movie idol who was equally adept at playing romantic comedy and intense drama. But by the mid-1960s, Curtis had been relegated to light roles in featherweight comedies. He was increasingly overlooked by a new generation of filmmakers at a time when gritty, realistic dramas were the style of the day. Curtis was facing a career crisis, and when Richard Fleischer took his casting idea to the studio, the director was met with outright ridicule.
I thought we would throw the whole nature of the picture off balance. He's done some serious films, like the Defiant ones, but he's really known as, at that time, as a light comedian.
But the idea refused to die. By now, Fleischer's suggestion had reached Tony Curtis, and it fired his imagination. At age 42, Curtis desperately wanted to prove himself in a mature, complex role.
So Dick Fleischer said, do something with yourself. So I got some putty, and I built out my nose and permed my hair and took some photographs of myself.
I looked at it, and it was terrific. So I immediately took the picture to Dick Zanuck's office.
There was a note with Fleischer covering up a photograph, and it said, I just auditioned this young actor who I think would be great for the part. When I looked at it, I was so overwhelmed by the way he looked, this kind of haunting quality. Tough, but yet good-looking in a rugged way, but a little off balance. So I called up Fleischer and I said, this guy looks great. Can he act? I really fell for it, hook, line, and sinker.
In October of 1967, it was official. Tony Curtis would play the Boston Strangler. And that fall, another legendary name joined the cast when Henry Fonda signed on to play the Strangler's nemesis, Chief Investigator John Bottomley.
I won't.
The casting of Curtis and Fonda was a promising start to a risky project, but it was only the beginning of a long, dark journey into the psyche of a serial killer. In January of 1968, 100 cast and crew members descended on Boston for location filming of the Boston Strangler.
They gave me a different nose, gave me a brown contact lens, permed my hair. I put on about 20 pounds. I put some weights around my waist, fishing weights, and wore big heavy shoes. So it changed my whole look and my attitude. And when I passed a mirror, I didn't see that handsome blue-eyed Jewish boy. There was some kind of weird-looking monster there.
Tony was really into it. It was not the jovial, loose, Cary Grant-ish kind of Tony Curtis.
And closets were open, and all the stuff of it was thrown out, as if he was looking for something. And I tried to figure out, what was he looking for? Another place to hide his face? That's the way I did it. I wouldn't admit to anybody that I was the Boston Strangler, only at the end.
Sharing the screen with Curtis in one of the film's most horrifying scenes was an attractive screen newcomer named Sally Kellerman.
I had wanted my first movie to be a victim of a rape scene, but I was just so happy to get a job. I always jokingly said that I was the romantic lead in the Boston Strangler because I was the only one that lived to tell about it, you know.
As the film went on, I kept taking furniture out of that room, making it more and more barren. The set was built of white muslin so that it could be lit from the outside and not cast any shadows in the room. As we went along, I took anything of color out of that scene.
DeSalvo doesn't know that he's done these things. How many of us feel like that? How many of us drive memories so far deep in that we don't dare think about them except in a dream?
Have to kind of grab him at the end of the scene and call his name, really. And he was not acting.
What's happening to me?
Why did 13 women open their doors willingly to this stranger? The Boston Strangler stars Tony Curtis in a powerful characterization unlike anything he has ever portrayed on the screen.
Before the Boston Strangler burst onto screens in 1968, 20th Century Fox had one final obstacle to overcome: a screening for industry censors who were waiting with scissors poised.
That's not fair.
Censors who commended the film for its tasteful handling of a horrendous tale. Released in October of 1968, The Boston Strangler was a creative and commercial hit, with Tony Curtis winning most of the praise for his riveting performance.
Tony sent me a photo with an inscription on it, which I still have, which says, "Thank you for saving my life." And I was very pleased and flattered.
That same year, Fleischer received another, more disturbing gift: a leather wallet made for him in prison by Albert DeSalvo.
Richard Fleischer and Dick Zanuck got wallets made by him. Yeah, I never got one. Maybe he didn't like the way I played the part.
By February of 1969, the makers of the Boston Strangler were certain that Tony Curtis was a frontrunner for the Best Actor Academy Award. But that month, Curtis and his colleagues were stunned when his performance was not even nominated.
Wasn't nominated for nothing. If they take a performance like that and pay no acknowledgement to it, there's something wrong with the system.
I'm always feeling like something is going to happen and it never does.
I was stunned that he didn't get it. It's one of the best performances I've ever seen on the screen.
To Curtis's dismay, the film's reputation suffered due to television broadcasts that greatly diminished its dynamic use of widescreen images.
Allow no strangers to enter your home under any pretext.
But today, thanks to fresh video presentations, the Boston Strangler has been reappraised and recognized as a classic example of movie suspense.
Albert? Albert!
As for Albert DeSalvo, on screen, he may have peacefully faded away. But in life, the alleged strangler met a gruesome end. In November of 1973, 5 years after the film's release, DeSalvo was found stabbed to death in the infirmary of Walpole State Prison. It was the final act of violence in a frightening drama that shocked the world both on and off the screen.
It was a very daring picture to make. It was groundbreaking in many respects, and I think Tony Curtis was great in that picture, unexpectedly great.
It's just scary. It's like driving a car too fast.
There are a lot of Alberts in the world, and Albertas too. Some of us think we're kind of normal and we've learned to accept our society, but there are a lot of us that don't. A lot of Albert DeSalvos walking around this glorious city. They may look one thing, but there's something else inside.